Hi everyone. So this is our last practice problem for section 5.7, and again we're going to use the memorized form for secant inverse. This time I have a definite integral. So first I want you to notice that with the definition, or this memorized form for secant inverse, we have a u on the outside of the square root, and on the inside of the square root is a plain u squared. So then in looking at my problem, we have a plain x on the outside, but a 100x squared on the inside. So I actually want to get rid of that 100. So I'm going to start off by moving that negative 5 out in front. And then I have the definite integral from negative 2 to negative square root of 2 of 1 over x. I'm going to factor out that 100. And we'll have x squared minus 1 dx. Now I can pull that 100 out of the radical. It's a 10, and then I can actually pull that 1/10 all the way out in front, giving me negative 5/10 times the integral from negative 2 to negative square root of 2 of 1 over x times the square root of x squared minus 1 dx. And now you can see that this actually matches the memorized form perfectly without doing any substitution, where my a is 1. So negative 5/10 is negative 1/2. And then this will become 1 over a, which is 1 over 1. So I'm going to kind of get rid of that. Secant inverse of x over 1, or just x. And then we'll evaluate that from negative 2 to negative square root of 2. So move this up here. We've got negative 1/2 secant inverse of negative square root of 2 minus secant inverse of negative 2. So the secant function, or secant inverse function, is defined in the first and second quadrant. Our x values are negative in the second quadrant, so I know that my angle that I'm looking for is in the second quadrant. And the angle that matches up with the 1 over the square root of 2 for cosine is a 45-degree angle, or pi over 4. In the second quadrant, that is 3 pi over 4. So this is going to be 3 pi over 4. Now I'm looking again in the second quadrant for the angle that the cosine of that angle will give me 1/2, or negative 1/2. So that's a 60-degree angle, but in the second quadrant, that will be 2 pi over 3. I can find a common denominator here. So this will be 9 pi over 12 minus 8 pi over 12. And then simplifying that, I have pi over 12. And now I can multiply my fractions to get negative pi over 24.